Welcome to another episode of Glencoco's Caller of the Week. Today I'm excited because I'm joined by Desi or Desmond Hinds. Desmond, you prefer Desi or Desmond?
Either way is good. Either one is good. Desmond, that's what the companies know me by. So yeah, it just
Go.
says this on my Google Meet. I'm signed into another account.
Got it. Well, all right. Well, hey, Desmond, thanks so much for taking the time to hop on this call. And the goal for today, I really would love to kind of talk about what your experience has been on Glencoco and what your experience has been, sort of what your experience was like finding out about us, ramping up on Glencoco, and what your experience was actually calling and booking meetings. But where I'd love
Yeah.
to start is if you could tell me a little bit about yourself and sort of your general sales background, etc., around when you found out about Glencoco.
So I found out about Glencoco, I want to say about November 2023, probably like a
Uh-huh.
month prior to actually signing up. And I remember being so intrigued and fascinated, almost obsessed with this platform because I come from a sales background, but traditionally, I was a communications major in college. I graduated from CUNY Medgar in Brooklyn in Crown Heights, and I literally, was always interested in face to face public speaking. Was always good with that. A very charismatic guy. And I really wanted to take roles that showcase that. So I started in real estate, started as a telemarketing agent for a real estate company in Queens, moved on to like guest marketing representative for Hilton Grand Vacations at Hilton Hotel for that, and then also transitioned into like a sales development representative as a pharmaceutical sales representative for NewMed Pharma pharmacy in Brooklyn. So I've always had like certain pointers when it came like certain techniques that I've learned throughout the roles. And finding out about Glencoco was amazing because it felt like something that was needed. Like when you find softwares and you're like, well, where was this in 2022? Like where was this in 2021? It's just I feel like we're finally stepping into a really transformative space where you're allowed to like really work for yourself, work independently, have success, and be able to just really learn the ins and outs, and have the opportunities to, you know, work with companies instead of for them or with them. Having that option, that's always great. I think it really puts you in a calm, state of mind, especially when you're interested in something. You become obsessed with it, the
Yep,
techniques, the strategy.
absolutely. No, please carry on.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I think Glenn Coco is really hands-on when it comes to that. I think something that I've learned and I've really appreciated about the platform is the coaching sessions, just the overall interface of the software. You can do it on your phone, you can have it on your laptop, and being able to, when I'm first I'm signing up, I'm like, oh wait, there's an auto dialer built into it. You're finding out all these easy features. Oh, I can maybe hit the targeted dial feature and be able to, go one by one through leads that are being given. Oh, there's self-source leads as well. So I can find a lead myself and go ahead and input it for this company. So I really think it's fascinating and it's an innovating platform, that Ingwang has really done his best at providing all of us. And I think it's gonna become, obviously just the new improved way that companies are doing sales business to business and business to consumer. So
Right.
yeah.
Well, thank you for the kind words. So and remind me once again, like how exactly did you find out about Glencoco? Was it on
It's
like TikTok, LinkedIn?
Yeah, it actually was TikTok. Yeah, it was TikTok. So I remember there was a gentleman. He was definitely always giving techniques. He was always providing techniques about
Hmm.
being able to, pass job interviews and like, being able to be a great candidate, a great selective candidate for job interviews, getting into tech sales, and just tech sales. I've always been like, fascinated with tech sales, and finding out through him was actually how I discovered the platform. When it's different. Millennials, we're in a space where we understand, like, you can make $20 an hour, you can make 25 an hour, you can make 30 an hour, make 250 an hour, you can make 350 an hour. I think we're in that space where we understand, you know, and I think that was the headline, the flashing headline for me, was to just be able to be like, oh, you were able to make $350 in an hour on Glencoco. So I
Right.
first discovered Coco on TikTok.
That's great to know. That's excellent context. And so, can we talk a little bit about sort of what was your experience like from when you signed up on Glencoco to where you made your first call? So, what was like going through the trainings like, and what was that experience like for you? Did you feel like it was adequate in helping you understand the things you need to do to get on a call? Do you think that your sales experience, your prior sales experience, helped you with that? Uh, would love to kind of know what that experience was like. So from when you signed up to got to a point where you made your first call, what was that journey like for you?
You know what? It was really, really easygoing, really accommodating, very supportive. First of all, having the CEO of the company, Ingwan, reach out to me personally to follow up on leads and give me strategies was, well, obviously we're looking at a community, a family. I'm not too far removed from this family, even though there's so many callers loaded up on the platform. So when I first got on to the platform, I just was doing my due diligence, exploring it, playing with it, and it was just really easy to, figure out. And from the training to the auditioning for each campaign, I really liked how not just the normalcy of it, but the continued practicality of it, meaning that every campaign, it's the same process. You go ahead, you read through all of the information that they need you to digest in order to familiarize yourself with the company, and then you're able to, do your audition. You're able to, do that, learn about it, do your audition, and answer the questions, and go ahead and then do your vocal audition. The vocal audition is the last, and being able to do the due diligence of just copying and pasting questions to your MacBook notes to make sure that you're just familiarizing yourself with it. It becomes
Right.
this really smooth process.
Yeah. And I think it's, something that I always try to tell people, and this is like pretty important, right? Is I think right now, the stage at which Glencoco is at right now, it's best suited for people like you, right? Like that have had some sales experience before, like you've kind of been in the sales role, sales development, AE, or like sort of marketing role, and then you're able to bring that experience to Glencoco. And it's harder for the people that have like zero sales experience and are going like completely 0 to 1. Like that's not impossible, but that's like a rarer occurrence than like someone that has the sales experience. So I'm really glad to know that like the training materials and stuff were kind of
Big help.
helping you get there, right? And then talk to me about like from when you started dialing, what was it like to book your first meeting? Like how long do you have a sense for how long it took you? And also, what was that experience like?
So it actually came a little bit sooner than expected, but I understood how I got there. I think that
Mhm.
was the most important part for me. Understanding how you get to the book meeting, and being able to, basically keep that process embedded in your brain, and being able to also be flexible. I think being flexible is something that you sometimes you could become too attached to a script. And I think when you're dealing with different callers, different personalities, different people, you need to be flexible in tonality in the scripts that you're using, depending on, who you're speaking to. And sometimes you don't even know how to make that decision. But I think the goal is to really have an overall simplified script, simplified process. So my first book meeting, I believe it was with Vicarious Cybersecurity Company, and
Mhm.
I remember keeping it simple. That was the most important part because, you know, you're studying all this information. Sometimes there's analysis paralysis. You know, I don't experience that. Well, if I do, what I do is snap myself out of it. But what
Right.
I'm most focused on is the execution part and just making the calls. Because then I think you know, you get so much information overload. You're so excited to, you know, spew this information out to try to get the book meeting when really you're trying to discover pain points that this person is dealing with or the company is dealing with, and you know, if they're looking a discovery, if you will, and if they're looking to even, you know, transition. So I think really I had to keep it simple enough to understand that and not put myself first. That was the most important part for booking the first meeting, is understanding that I'm not supposed to put myself first. I'm supposed to put them first. You know, it's not about how much I can say within 5 minutes. It's more
Yeah.
about how can I get this person or this company to just reveal to me what they're going through and emphasize it. How do I get them to emphasize it back to me in order for me to say, well, hey, you know, I am calling from a company that actually specializes in solutions for this pain point of yours.
Right. And I think that's like a delicate balance to strike, right? Because you could you could end up I think people like oversell or like overpitch on the call, and it's like, look, your job is not to like one call close this person, right? Like that's not what you're trying to do. You're, like you said, you're just trying to make sure that there's alignment around like the pain point and the value that you're able to bring to the
Absolutely.
table, and then like kind of guide them to a meeting where they can learn more, discover more, etc. And you want to make sure also through that process you're obviously qualifying the prospect, right?
Right, right, of
Um,
course.
so uh, what I'd love to just switching gears, like what I'd love to know is like what is your process like to like prep for a campaign, like, or you know, you went from knowing nothing about Vicarious to like a pretty complex cybersecurity product to booking a qualified meeting for the cybersecurity product, right? I know like the training, you said the trainings and stuff were a help, but like what was your process like to sort of go, like kind of digest the training materials?
So my process is simple. I usually copy and paste the material straight to my MacBook notes. In my spare time, like not right away, not immediately, but immediately I will go through the information, but I don't like go through it in order for me to like know everything right then and there. I just go through it to take a glance at it. Then I look at it whether I'm like on the train going somewhere, transitioning, traveling, just in a time where it's like, you know, let me check it out, like, you know, and just in a random time, and then try to make my own understanding of what the product is, try to like a relationship, try to build a relationship toward, you know, this campaign, and understand what it is that they're so great at. I
Mm,
think when you find out the highlights and the differences between, because they'll tell you, hey, these are our competitors. Might even do a little bit of research on the competitors. Might even go to ChatGPT, type in the main differences between the competitors, just to start, you know, embedding in my brain. Well, this is the main standout because I can tell the prospect four different things that are different than the competitor. I don't think it's going to make a difference. I think there's just a one thing that you can try to focus on and continue to reveal more things that, you know, are helpful. So my process, I do that, copy and paste it to my MacBook notes, and then I always go through. I have like you know, a guideline. I was actually just looking it up. I have a guideline that I use. You know, everything is, you know, about establishing trust with me, demonstrating value, handling objections, qualifying the prospect, and then booking the meeting. And I try to do it in 5 minutes and 40 seconds typically, because I don't think anything needs to be as longer than that. But if it ends up being it, then that's fine. I try to, you know, make sure I remember these things as I have it written down here on my laptop. Like my opening
mm,
focus should be about tonality, pauses, seeking permission, confirming the right person, obviously establishing trust, open-ended questions, pausing for responses, demonstrating value, providing those key. And demonstrating value means, because it's like, what does that mean? Demonstrating value means offering those key points. What are the key points about my offerings? Just let them know right away. These are the key points.
right.
Qualifying them. qualifying the prospect, because qualifying them is very important. And before I even jump to qualifying, handling those objections, because the objections come in the beginning. So there has to be some type of, nuance in your responses where you're like, hey, listen, I understand and I appreciate your honesty. One thing some of our successful partners initially thought was a common misconception. Would it be fair to say you've also considered this aspect, giving them things to think about to stop them in their tracks before they want to dismiss you or might want to dismiss you? So I move on to qualifying them, and then closing with a close-ended decision, like closing with just close-ended decisions that they can either make or not make. And it's okay. I think sometimes you can't get so hung up on one prospect. I
Mm-hmm.
think sometimes you have to, like a relationship, you have to allow people to make the decisions. No
Right.
matter what, you have to go into it knowing that, there's nothing I can really say to really persuade this person. This person is made up in their mind whether they
Yeah.
want to do something or not. And I'm just here to, like, you know, to reveal it to them. I'm here to reveal their decision. Do you want to go forward or don't you? That's, yeah.
I think that's a great way to think about it, right? I think there's like this misconception, right? And the misconception is actually just, in my opinion, fueled by bad practice, right? Of people that are like, oh, I'm gonna get this guy on a meeting regardless of what the cost is, right? Like
Yeah,
I'm
and it's
I
okay.
don't care. I'm
Yeah.
gonna drag him kicking and screaming to this meeting, and it's like, no, that's not really the point, right? Like the point is
No,
you're
no.
trying to find value and you're trying to qualify the guy, and it's only useful to
Right.
the company if this is a guy that like was interested in the first place. And like, that I think that's like a really important part of it. And no, I think you've done like a phenomenal job of laying it out. So to kind of wrap it up, so you kind of you came on a Glencoco, you signed up, and then like you ramped up, got auditioned, got on a campaign, booked a qualified meeting. Would you say like the ROI for it was worth it for you? Like
Absolutely.
the
I think, yeah. I think
Sorry, go ahead.
no, to answer that, the ROI is definitely worth it because you understand how much value you're providing, for this particular company. And
Hmm.
that decision that you make, it ultimately is revealed to you, through the book meetings, through the quality of leads as well, So I think it's a mixture of the quality of the leads and also, how much time you're gonna, put into it. So
Got it. And in terms of like, what do you see the role of Glencoco as like in your future? Like, do you see yourself like spinning up again, making some more dials? What do you see it as?
absolutely, I do want to be so much more involved in the creative process. I think we're moving into the greatest time. I think, just, being, born in the 90s and, a
Yeah.
millennial, it's like we've seen, just two ends of the spectrums from iPods, flip phones to now iPhones. So I
Yeah.
understand where we're going with artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And the artificial intelligence is really here to take everyone that is going to be a part of Glencoco to the next level. I think with the innovative foot forward that everyone a part of the staff and community is making, it's going to be revolutionary, and it's already revolutionary. I think I'm seeing companies pop up that are like, reaching out to me, because of my involvement with Glencoco. There've been several jobs reached out to me because, of Glencoco wanting to hire me as a sales development representative. So I think,
Yeah.
it's obviously creating jobs. It's creating jobs. And in this
Yeah.
economy, that it's creating jobs within a reasonable space. I
Hmm.
think sometimes, we're so hung up on having to do a particular job, and there's just so much different jobs that we can be doing. AI has created so many different jobs. It's continuing to do that. And Glencoco is definitely leading within the space of innovation.
Well, on that note, thank you so much for saying that. On that note, well, we'd love to have you anytime. I'll shoot you a message. We got a couple more campaigns that just got launched, and would love to
Terrific.
come. Desmond, thank you so much for taking the time. You're our caller of the week. Take a bow, and I would absolutely love to have you back on the platform anytime to make some calls. And until then, you take care. You have a nice day, and you
Take
go
care,
Coke. Peace.